Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley.
And I'm her daughter, Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Heidi and I want to welcome you to Open to Hope Conversations, the podcast.
We believe that the greatest gift you can give yourself after a loss is hope, using this moment to connect with others who have not only survived but thrived.
So let's get started. Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, as you know, one of our top visits at Open to Hope is adults who've lost parents. I think that really gets underestimated.
Absolutely, because sometimes I know that when Dad died in 2020, people said, well, he lived a long life, but the reality is that doesn't mean that I miss him any less. I have never known my world without him in it. And, he was the first man that I ever loved. And so, it's a big deal when you lose your parent. And I know that we're going to have today a guest on who was very close to her father. He was her biggest cheerleader and her biggest fan. And so the loss is significant. And he's only been gone for a year.
And our guest is a singer, a songwriter, and we're going to talk about creative expression, a bridge between loss and hope. And so, Heidi, would you like to introduce our guest?
Sure, Mom. So we're going to be talking about creative expression after the death of a parent with Tiffany Thompson. Tiffany is a singer-songwriter who found hope in the songs she could still sing when she couldn't speak. Her father, Rick, passed away just 10 days after being diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Since his death, Tiffany has been releasing her album, Found Love, on a monthly schedule, processing grief through creative expression. Welcome to our podcast, Tiffany.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
I must say, Tiffany, you're courageous because your dad has not even been dead a year. September, It will be a year, right?
That's right. Yep. September 9th.
Yeah. And he was only ill for such a short time with pancreatic cancer. So quite a shock.
Yeah, definitely. My mom used the phrase, felt like we were on a speeding train. You just you're being taken somewhere. So still feels like I want to pick up the phone and have a conversation.
Tell us about how it's been for you as a singer-songwriter.
Yeah, I think my dad, when we were in the hospital, as Heidi alluded to, he wanted me to sing there, and he kept asking me to sing for the staff. He would have me sing different songs and have me play videos for, the nurses. And so I wonder if in some ways his active sort of requesting of that kept my voice alive and present during those, final days. And my mom wanted me to be the sort of cantor, the spiritual singer at the funeral. And so I sang maybe 4 or 5 songs at that small family service at the graveside. So I feel like even if my voice would have liked to have had a moment of silence, the community around me called that forth and said, like, we need your gift in this moment. So whether it was when he was still sort of cognitively present with us in the hospital or in hospice, we had a little concert for a couple of hours. And he must have experienced it in some way. Hopefully it brought him peace.
You've said before that sometimes singing allows you to express yourself in ways that you couldn't if you were just speaking.
Yes, I think for me, my singing voice, people often say it's different than my speaking voice. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I was recently at an event with a painter, and he was like, the tone is so different. And so there's something about the singing voice that I feel is merging like my head and my heart and my soul. And when I'm singing, it's like all those things are coming into cohesion and alignment. And it's letting me express a truth that doesn't, I don't have to quite understand it, but I can feel it, and it can be something that I'm singing truth over myself, over the world. And I'm sure there's something happening there neurologically that I don't understand, but I definitely experience it, that when I can't say something, I can often actually get through a song, and people are sort of surprised by that. And I think it's that the emotions coming out in a different form than the tears or the
Hmm.
crying.
You know, that's really interesting because we recently interviewed someone, and what came up on the conversation is that screaming and yelling and any kind can be an expression of your grief. And I'm thinking of your
Mm,
singing, just the sound, coming through
yeah.
the voice box, maybe that, letting out. I don't know, we talk about grief being trapped in the body.
Singing, especially when you're singing loudly, etc., it seems like it kind of purges all those emotions and helps work them through your body.
I definitely would feel that. I think, my dad passed away on September 9th, 2025, and a friend of mine was having a book event at her home in DC, and they have a piano there. And one of the songs that has really become about my dad is called Teachers, the song about trees letting go of their leaves and flowers letting go of their petals. And the event was about fatherhood. And she said, I really think you should come up and you should sing this song. There was maybe 30 people at this home. And I was like, wow, that feels like a lot. Like 2 weeks later.
Hmm.
And she was like, I don't know. She has a real intuitive sense for things. And she's like, I really think that you should sing it at this. And so I said yes. And I went up there and I sang it and I just let it out, and I made it through the song without kind of breaking into tears. And I had, it was the moment when I realized, wow, what it is to be a channel, to show up as an artist with a gift and to give it to the room. And I had people come up to me and say, I haven't, my father passed away X number of years ago, and I haven't cried for, a long time. And I actually was finally able to access those emotions through what you sang tonight. And it was a different sort of connection with the audience slash listener. It was almost like we were co-creating it together because of the depth of what I gave them in that moment. And I think, Dr. Heidi, it's because I was singing out of the pain. And almost like when you think about the ancient, like the women who mourned at graves and, sort of like the ancient practice of the wailing women, it felt like I was sort of serving that role in the evening. And the level of connection just was, it was transcendent.
That's incredible. It also makes me think of peer support because one of the things we know that is most helpful in the grieving process is peer support. So I love the
Mm.
way you talk about having those people with you. They're watching you, they're, hearing it, and it is kind of a peer situation.
In some ways, that's what a song can be for
Hmm.
us, even if you're not there live with the singer or the songwriter. When you put on a song that feels like it's mirroring back to you something or singing back to you something, maybe we get a little bit of that peer support need even when we're alone with recorded music.
Yeah, because you are able to join it.
Hmm.
Are able to sing with the artist. And when you're in groups of people, you're able to sing with them those songs. So
And
That's
at least
right.
move your body as the music is going.
Yes.
You said something on your site, and you've got such a beautiful voice. Please go look at Tiffany's music. It's amazing. It's gorgeous.
your father was a minister, right?
He was. Yes. Yes, he was.
Good, good. Yes, that's
So
good to
I
know.
assume he had some pretty good tidbits.
Yes, definitely. In the piece, when I wrote about my father, that he really let go kind of with the grace of a ginkgo tree, just like a sudden sort of falling of his leaves, 9 days from diagnosis to death. And I think that there's something about, our current culture that doesn't want to die. We're
Hmm.
all about longevity. And that's a beautiful thing. I take my vitamins every morning and, I want to live a healthy, long life. But I feel like he would say this isn't the end, that the hope is real, sort of hope that we have for life after life, whatever that may look like. And that you don't have to be afraid of death. and afraid of it for the other, that we can sort of, when our time comes, like trees and leaves and all of nature, let go. And I think that humans have this desire to rage against the night. And I think that that's something that I feel like my father and I are in conversation about now. That I can be upset that it went so fast and we didn't get to do any treatment, and we didn't really get to talk about anything about death because he didn't really have a real conversation after he got into the hospital. The pain was too much.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that he's sort of, I feel like I'm getting the blessing of learning about life through his death. And I'm trying to just kind of to take that as a gift of hope through what he's giving me even now.
Tell our audience about the songs you're writing and how you're positioning them. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, so I went through another grief, another death of a relationship a couple of years ago. And through that, I wrote a body of work that mirrors the hero's journey, which is sort of like the ancient mythological archetype of you have a person or this individual gets called out into a grand adventure, and they sort of make allies and friends along the way, and they go through the abyss and they find their success, but then they also have to find their way home and integrate that new reality of who they've become. And so these songs mirror that journey, and they come out once a month on the first of the month. And they're really an invitation to just reflect on, where are you at in that life cycle? And some of the songs are really depressing and sad songs, and others are sassy and upbeat and fun songs. And I think that the writing and the digging into the deep parts of my own spirit to explore that full spectrum of both grief and joy, that this record is called Found Love, even though it's really the story of love lost and found again.
And we're going to play a piece from that as we go out of the show. Talk to us about what piece would you select and give us some of the wording from it.
Yeah, I would play Teachers. Teachers was the song that my father asked me to sing in the hospital. He called it the tree song. And it's really a song about the stage of grief, of acceptance, of seeing that the leaves are falling and the life is passing away and the time has come to let go. And there's a word in the song, riven, which I heard in a poem by a poet named Christian Weinman, who's at Yale and is a contemporary poet. And he has a poem called Every Riven Thing. And it's a really beautiful and abstract and sort of a dense poem. But that phrase, I carried it with me for a really long time. And as I was writing this song about grief and loss and passing, it felt like it held within it some sort of a deeper truth. And so the chorus says, I breathe in, I begin falling to the ground, I let loose all that's bound. And so that idea of something breaking apart and coming together, of falling and finding, is the essence of the song Teachers.
And you also say that the music transcends time. Talk about that a little
Mhm.
bit.
I've always desired to write a timeless song, a song that the whole world might sing. And a lot of times, as a singer-songwriter, you actually write a song about a moment in time, this breakup, that idea, this thing. And I feel like this body of work, as it's becoming revealed to me through my father's passing, it is about him, even if the songs were actually written years ago, when he was still alive. They're actually being illuminated more through his passing. And my dad, because he did claim to be my number one fan, to all of my other family members' chagrin, it's almost like he's like imprinting himself on this record, which he was very involved with. He was retiring at the time of me recording this record, and I think he found it to be a really interesting thing to get curious about and ask lots of questions, and always wanted to hear the pre-released version and know where the songs were written. So the fact that sort of while he was living, he was engaging with the record, and now it's coming out slowly and he's no longer here. There's something about it that feels like it's outside of time, and the songs hopefully will invite others to bring their story into it in a more spacious way than anything I've ever created before.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show today and for all the beautiful music. And I know
Mhm.
everybody's going to be very excited about hearing your wonderful song, Teachers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tiffany. I know your dad is your guiding light. My heart goes out to you. Losing my dad has been very difficult. And I feel like our dads are up there and they're still our biggest cheerleaders and our biggest fans. So
That's
thank you
right.
so much.
Thank you.
And Heidi and I want to thank everybody for joining us on this show today. And we always want to remind you that if you lost hope, please lean on ours till you find your own. And now, Teachers.
Yellow and red are taking over the trees. Only a few hold on to green in their veins. Watching leaves let go teaches me you always fall into another story. I can see it, I can feel it. Every riven thing, pieces mending as I breathe in, as I begin falling to the ground. I let loose what was bound. When the garden's dying, one bush at a time. God, it feels like it'll never come back to life. But all these flowers have teaching to do. They never hold on to their petals. They know there's another bloom. I can see it, I can feel it. Every riven thing, pieces mending as I breathe in, as I begin falling to the ground. I let loose what was bound. Falling to the ground, I let loose all that's bound.
I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. You have been listening to Open to Hope, the podcast. You can follow Open to Hope on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To learn more, visit us at opentohope.com and go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe.
I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley. Join us again next week for another Open to Hope conversation, where we invite you to lean on our hope until you find your own.